Lodi residents and friends of social media, Lieutenant Mobilio here from the Lodi Police Department, and welcome to the Lodi Show, Episode 8 of Meet Your Mayor. Yep, that's right, Meet Your Mayor. And we are here today with Mayor Scott Luna. Hello, Mayor Luna, how are you today?
Thank you, Lieutenant, I'm doing fine.
How's everything?
It's okay. It's okay. A little bit of rough start on my New Year's, you guys know, but we're doing all right.
To everybody out there that knows Mayor Luna, he went through some trying times this past few weeks, and he's still going through some things. So our prayers and thoughts out to you and your family, your dad and everybody else. So Mayor Luna is here today. He's here to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in Lodi, and him growing up in Lodi as a child, and how he came to be mayor. So we're going to get into it. So here we go. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. So Mayor, you are a lifelong resident of Lodi.
Born and raised.
Tell us a little bit about yourself growing up in Lodi.
Growing up in Lodi I think it was great, as you would know.
Yep.
We're pretty much the same part of town. You know what, I really enjoyed that. We always had, which I don't, you don't see much anymore now, is we're out in the playgrounds, out in the schoolyards, out in the parks, kids playing all the time. We grew up stickball at Washington School, and our camps down at Kennedy Park, and it was a fun time to grow up. Each town was in different sections, so I was pretty much out of the Kennedy Park area where Sherry and I was actually, she's in a room with us too, Sherry Tasto, and we were talking about there were so many different generations in Kennedy Park, so everybody had brothers there that we all hung out with. So the crew there was Brian Palladino was still my lifelong friend since kindergarten. We hung at Kennedy Park. The Marinos were up there, the Springs, the Kittresses, the Mosaris, the Baccos, and then we had their generation, their brothers and sisters coming in, and they all hung out. We used to do the ice skating up there, which was great at Kennedy Park.
Just 1 minute, since you mentioned, I got to bring it up. For those of you who don't know what he just mentioned about the ice skating, years ago, I'm talking years ago, back at Kennedy Park, there used to be basketball courts, and in the winter time, they would flood the basketball courts, and it would actually turn to ice, and then we actually had an ice skating rink where you can go ice skating at Kennedy Park. So it was a great time up there also.
It was a great time growing up in Lodi, and even to yourself, the police department back then was very friendly with us. They were our friends. They helped us out a lot, is what you guys are doing, and I really think that's great. Because when I got elected, I said, I want to make Lodi community friendly again, Borough Hall community friendly, and I think you guys are doing a great job of it.
Thank you.
And that's really, it's great to see. Again, going back a little old school, I always say, as a longtime coach, good old school is good school. But we used to have. Everybody was friends. There was no cell phones there or nothing. You knew everybody from, St. Joe's area or, up on the hill. We had the same group of friends that we hung out with, in the Chrissy Ferenzis and Anthony Staff and the Paparosis, so and the Bajicas. That was a clique, and we would all get together, whether we played football, stickball or anything like that. A lot of pickup games and stuff, and I still talk to my old guys. Washington School, went to Washington School.
As do I.
Still fear Mr. John Spiziali. He said there's a site out there that says, when you grew up in Washington School. And yeah, I think he was pretty much a feared man, more than Mr. Lascari, I believe, over at the high school. But yeah, we used to tremble when he came into the classroom.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I still have lifelong Lodi friends. I still talk to a lot of my classmates. I graduated Lodi High School in 1978. And I'm still very close with my friends that are still here in Lodi. Some of the guys that are out of school. And, I grew up with Tony Febo and Mark Cardesi, and I still keep in touch with all of those guys as well.
Absolutely.
Played ball here for a long time, through Lodi High School, the American Legions, and stuff like that. So, I love this town. So
in other words, you're still bleeding blue and orange.
Absolutely. I used to take a lot of ribbon because I was a long-time coach over at Paramus Catholic High School. So I says, my blood is orange and blue, but I wore Vegas in black, kind of hid the weight a little better. I used to joke, but I grew up and I enjoyed coaching, teaching kids for a long time. Charlie Russo was a big mentor of mine, as well as Billy Masterpuss. But I think Charlie Russo was, not to take away from anybody else and that coaches here in Lodi, I think he was probably one of the best mentors and coaches that came out of our town.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember Mr. Russo very well. I remember Mr. Russo very well. All right, so that was us growing, and as you.
I think I'm still growing up.
Yeah, me too. Well, hey, listen, we both are. I mean, I'm from the avenues, and,
yeah.
you know, from being from the avenues, like you said, there was just a million kids there all the time. There was always something to do.
Oh,
the streets were always loaded with
Like
kids
this,
either
we had-
playing football
yeah.
by the inspection
We had the
station.
section, we had the Woodmere section,
Yeah.
you know, that was kind of your crew there.
Yeah,
the Cash
Woodmere,
X
but
and
more
those
on the
guys.
avenues, more the, but
Yeah.
the Woodmere section.
Yeah, the Woodmere Avenue sections and Kennedy, and it was great.
It was really, and I
love to
and I
see
know
that
I'm on,
when
you know,
kids are out in the park just playing pickup games or something.
Yeah.
You know, with this pandemic, of course, we don't see it.
And we'll get into that. We'll get to that in a minute. So, another question for you: the Luna family and its many relatives have long and dedicated history in Lodi, both politically and otherwise. Is that one of the reasons how you became? I mean, your grandfather. We know your
That
grandfather
was
Joseph,
my Uncle Joe.
or your Uncle Joe,
Yeah,
and then
my
naturally your
grandfather's
father.
Yes and no. I started getting involved in politics. I'm the 5th mayor in my family. 3 on the Luna side, including myself, and 2 on my grandmother's side, which is the Soma side. So, being a young kid, and we were always taught to give back to our community. So, volunteered coaches back when I started in 1981, and I'm still doing a lot of different things in town. But yeah, I took a big interest into it. You know, back then, we were young, and you know, my uncle was running. He'd deliver the flyers and put up signs and stuff like that, and listening to we had an old clubhouse back in the day, or somebody's basement, and I just peered through the door as I was a young kid, and you know, you listen to the nicknames that came out, you know, the Bomber, and my Uncle Joe was called the Pipe, and you had Fat and Frank Belli and Mayor Belli, and you just listen to the nicknames, so you associate them by nicknames, Butch and those guys. But I took a liking to it, I took an interest into it, and I always wanted to give back to my community. We started where, probably I think it was pretty much where Sergio's, the restaurant is in this area here. We had an old dojo. My family was very big into martial arts, and we started teaching kids there and stuff. And my father taught kids where he didn't charge them anything. You just had to have good grades in school. And that's pretty much how I started my baseball program. You know, in order to play, you have to do that. But yeah, they were a big influence on me, and I wanted to follow after, you know, in their footsteps. I got involved early on. I was involved with county committee very young. I'm still a municipal chairman here in Lodi for Bergen County, Democratic County Committee. I got involved with, I served on a board of education for a little while. Actually, I took Councilman Abbott to Chara's seat when he moved on, and the council. And we were very active with, I was active with the Bergen County Young Dems. I was an aide to Senator Cantillo, Congressman Rothman, even the sheriffs, Bob Herb, was very active with. We had all these youth advisories committees, and I got involved in it, and I really enjoyed it, and wanted to give back to my community. We started groups. We had called it the LODI Club. It was a League of Dedicated Individuals. It was started by myself, Brian Palladino, former Mayor Karen Viscana, Louis Jasmine, I believe, was one of the head, maybe Marcel Williams. And we would do different projects, you know, clean up street projects, build trophy cases in the high school, always doing plantings. So we were always doing something, and that got me involved. And as I got more active when I think my dad was running for council at the time in '84, and we had a nice young organization with all young guys. Bruce Massapus, Bart Trones, Brian Palladino, Nick Melfi, Chris Ferenzi, and we got together as a group, and from always growing up with each other, we became family.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. I always thought that you would have gotten into it a lot earlier than just recently. I would have figured you would have been in it probably back in the '90s. You would have gotten.
You know, it's
then.
Everybody said that. Back in the '90s, I wanted to put my name in a hat and run for council. And my grandmother made my grandmother a promise, and she said, no more. She said, brothers, brother-in-law, son, as she got older and a little sickly, she just said, promise me you won't.
Huh.
Grandma passed, and I'm sorry, Gram, but I got involved.
And here you are now.
Here I am
Here you are
now.
now.
So.
All right, so the mayoral seat in Lodi is a part-time position.
You think so?
Yeah, well,
You think so?
on the books it is, on the
Yes.
books it is. So, other than being the mayor, what are some of, I know what some of your hobbies are, but tell everyone, what are some of your hobbies that you enjoy besides, and work itself?
Basically, well, I'm employed by the county of Bergen. Right now, I'm the park superintendent for Bergen County Parks. My background's in construction. I've always been a project manager I had my own business for a while. Came out of Local 15. I was a state delegate there, shop steward, general foreman, superintendent. So my background's in construction. And I got into county about maybe 8 years ago. In addition to that, I own a baseball facility in Paramus. It's called Luna Baseball and Softball Academy. Like I said, I've been teaching baseball since the 80s and coaching, volunteering, and took it to different levels. I became an associate baseball scout for an amateur level, affiliated with the Seattle Mariners for about 10 years. Later on with Baltimore as kind of a bird dog.
You kind of have a connect with Ripken, right?
Yes,
Billy
I started,
Billy Ripken, right?
Bill and Cal Ripken. I had started a program when I was with Seattle Mariners. It was a youth baseball program, and we had called it the New Jersey Mariners. It was a big travel organization. Like I said, we built it from the ground up. We didn't just take studs. We took kids that had good grades. It started out in Lodi with just Lodi kids only. And I had met the Ripkins at a scouting convention in Baltimore, and sitting at a table, we just started talking about my program and how Ripken baseball was starting to come up in their ranks. And they asked me if I'd want to come and instruct their camps, and one thing led to another, to talk shows and videos. And we've had a bond there. I think I've been working there in the summer, running camps for them for about maybe 16 years.
So baseball being one of your bigger hobbies, what other hobbies do you?
I'm a hunter.
Right.
Like hunting, like fishing, like the outdoors. Enjoy our homemade winemaking. Now I brought in our deputy mayor, Vinnie Martin, as well. I don't know if his wife Janine likes that as much because we get a little ribbon, but I make it with Lodi resident, another lifelong Lodi resident, Ray Canisi, Chief's Ronnie's brother,
Right.
and my brother Jeff, and some other family members. So that keeps us, that's
Keeps you
a good
going.
hobby, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
knowing the Luna family, and I think one of the prerequisites of being a member of the Luna family, I think you have to be actually born into it as the Rolling Stones. I mean, if you're a Luna, you have to be a Rolling Stones
Big
fan.
Rolling Stones.
I think it's a
fans.
must.
Big Rolling
Yeah.
Stones fans,
So
yeah.
how did that even, I mean, you being the older brother of the family, I mean, how did that even come about to be such?
Stones.
Because I know even your younger, I know your cousins, even your younger,
Yeah,
everybody's
Doc Mike Luna's
yeah.
a big fan.
Yeah.
Also, my whole family is.
Yeah.
Even my kids.
Yeah.
Grew up enjoying classic rock, and started out with the Beatles, and I was a big Beatle fan as well. And then Stones came aboard. I think the first tour might have been '75. I think one of my cousins took me, and then I haven't missed the tour consecutively since '78. So somewhere over 40 times I must have seen them. And, and a whole group, like we said, our Kennedy Park gang,
Yeah.
was always listening to the Stones. So we were big Stones guys. I'm still one. In fact, as you could tell, because I had the Glimmer Twins here, it was the
Yeah.
Stones cover band at Oktoberfest. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Well, I don't know if I've ever told you this, and this is from your brother TJ, and again, we're thinking about TJ's speedy recovery, but I'll never forget, I'm going to date myself here, but we're going back to 1979. Kiss releases Dynasty, and I remember hanging out at Kennedy Park, and your brother comes up to me and says, "What's the matter? Kiss can't write their own songs," because at that time Kiss does 2,000 Man on that album. And I remember your brother coming up there, he's giving me a big ribbon about Kiss doing that song, and it just always stuck in my mind. That's from 1979. And,
Is that when we filled up the truck with the pickup? The pickup truck with the water?
Maybe, maybe. But I'll never forget your brother always busted my chops about Kiss doing that song. And
That was a memorable story. Sherry, you remember that?
But you go ahead with the. with
We
the
had,
song.
it's actually, the truck is still around, it's an old pickup truck, it's a former police officer, my cousin Ernie Iadacy has this truck now, and,
That's the truck?
that's the truck. So Frankie DiScafano was at the firehouse, and he decided to give us this pool liner. So the firemen filled up this back of the pickup truck, and we drove around town with it. They put lights on it, and we had tubes and floats in it, and they were like, we got pulled over, and then I think Alan must have pulled us over, or Kenny, Frank's brother. It's like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? I was like, your brother told us we could do it. But that was a good memory of Kennedy Park.
Yeah, Kennedy Park, always. All right, so, Mayor, your greatest strength, and in contrast, your greatest weakness.
Weakness have to be late night eating. That's killing me right now.
Mhm.
You know, the strength is I think from being able to communicate with people, different kinds of people, working as a team. So from coaching so long, you learn how to be a team player. And that's what's so great about our council. We're a team. We've known each other, a lot of us, since we were kids. I think Emil was my substitute teacher at one time.
It was mine also.
And I've worked on many of his campaigns in the past. And Vinnie Martin, we grew up with Vinnie Martin playing ball, and Albert. Joe Leto's been around, my house a lot for my son's friends in that era. And we get along so well. And I think our biggest strength is we don't care who gets credit for anything, just as work gets done.
Right.
And I think the communication skills and ability to lead, I've always been a leader. Anybody that knows me, I jump in with 2 feet. If I want something done, I'm going to get it done. Just as if, I'm playing a ball game or something like that. I always tell people, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Because I get along very well with people, and, I think that's probably one of my biggest assets, and probably a trait that I got from my father, or maybe even more my Uncle Joe, where they were people guys. And I consider myself a people person. So I think that helps us out a little bit.
So a little bit about, we spoke about it, we touched briefly on it. We had the mask. As you can see, we are social distancing here. So what can you update us about the status of the pandemic here in Lodi?
Yeah, well, it's still here. And it's actually, if you want to call it the second phase, it's stronger than the first. First, I think it was December 1st, we might have had, I think I wrote a note down here, we had maybe, we had total from January 26th affected in Lodi 2,024. Since December 1st, we had 801 affected, so that's almost more than we had in September. And we lost 38 family members on Lodi, so we still have to follow the protocol, which we're doing from the state. Hopefully this vaccine can get out there. I think we're not on essential workers yet. They're still part of the first responders and seniors with, anybody over 60 or whatever with symptoms and stuff like that. So, but it's pretty rough. Like I said, I'm going through it now with my brother. He's been, pretty banged up with it, but it's here. We just need to, stay safe.
Yeah. All right. Your term is up in 2 years, I believe.
2 years our term is up. Yeah.
Would you look to run for mayor again at that time?
Well, we run for council.
Run for council, correct.
If the people, I would be interested in running again.
Mayor,
I'm considering on running again. Hopefully with my same team, I think we all feel the same. And as long as our healths are good, if the people are willing to elect us again and my council sees fit to elect me as their mayor, I'd certainly, definitely enjoy it.
So my next question would be, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5, you would assume to say that you would like
hopefully still be, guiding the town that I love, and hopefully a grandfather by then. I'm pushing the envelopes to my kids. You know, it's time, I'm getting old, you know?
All right. What would you say is probably one of your biggest achievement as mayor here so far,
You know,
and most proud of?
there's a few that I take personally. I think during this pandemic, we accomplished a lot. You know, it was really a challenge, it was a big challenge for me. We accomplished a lot. When I took office, I had said that I want to make Lodi more community friendly, Borough Hall community friendly, the council accessible. So I mean, I have mayor's hours at night, so residents can come in to talk to me. I return every call that to residents that they call in. Some may not like what I have to say, but I'll tell them the truth. You know what we need to do.
Right.
We brought in credit cards. We can pay credit cards or taxes online. We updated all our websites, our zoning we can get online now. And I also said that when I swore in, and we had Senator Madonna was here, and County Executive Jim Tedesco was here, and the governor's rep. And our biggest achievement, I said, my goal is I want to pave these roads.
Yeah.
You know, Main Street, Union Street, down South Main Street, and to Union Avenue haven't been paved in 30 years. So working together, we've got a good working relationship with the governor, with the senates, with the county. The grants that we received, we were able to accomplish that. And that's something that was long overdue in this town.
Yeah,
we put in some new crosswalks, all new ADA curbing. We put in new lighting. If you could go down Union Street, you'll see all the new lighting that we have. We put in Passaic Valley, put in all of our new water main. We put in a lot of new water mains to the curbs. We've done a lot of that at no cost. Those are some big things we did. Some of the parks that we've updated. We've received probably almost, I'd say $1.7 million something in grants, close to it, that we were able to do a lot of projects. But we still have over $1 million outstanding that are pending, hopefully to receive to do other projects. I'm pretty proud of the ADA park that's going to be coming in for the handicapped and special needs children, which will be outside the Boys Club. That'll be going on soon.
On Passaic Ave.
Yep. We've updated this park here behind the amphitheater. There's another one coming that's going to be in addition to it on the side. As you can see, we started doing some working there. Very proud of the Veterans Memorial that we put up, which thanks to you and Sherry, you guys did a great job, and I thought it was a great team effort. And every year we can, bring in some more.
We've gotten plenty of applications to erect more now. Absolutely.
So we've added our community Vincent Cito Memorial Center that's at Kennedy Park. We've added our community room that's going to be on top of it, connected the Rams Bleacher Clubs to it. And if a grant applies and we can get some Green Acre funding, I'd like to, moving forward, completing that, where we talked about the basketball area, and give the kids something like an indoor rec center or an all-purpose center, whether it be cheering or soccer or football, and so kids don't have to go to off campus to pay to train, because obviously right now it's cold, you can't do anything. So keeping kids active, so that's another big thing we like. We've updated our DPW. We built an addition on top of that, which is good. Some of our DPW guys, we've been hired more skilled tradesmen, and we've been saving a lot of money doing a lot of work in-house. So we've done, without the shell, but we've done all of Kennedy Park without the excessive from the contractor that did the shell and the roofing. Same thing we did at the DPW. So I like to see that project going. I know we updated our courts. We fixed that as well. Those are some of the things I really like standing out, and most importantly, we were able for 2 years in a row to keep this tax rate at a 0 increase.
That's great. As a resident, I greatly appreciate that also. I'm sure you've seen it on Facebook and Instagram and on all the other social media that has anything to do with Lodi. You see a lot of chatter about Kmart. Now, I know the information you can give us is limited, but what can you tell us about what's going on at the old Kmart?
Okay, what they're doing is it's going to be maybe 4 or 5 retail franchise stores. There'll be a, similar to how Burger King is laid out, where there's an offset box in the front.
So it's all gonna be separate?
It's gonna be two separate buildings, gonna be knocking that one down. There is no residential, people are saying it's residential, there is no residential, it's gonna be retail, and there's gonna be some type of a grocery store. We don't know really at this time what it is. There's a lot of rumors out there, it's this, it's that, but we don't know actually what name brand is actually gonna be coming in at this time.
So that came.
But there is no residential there. They also approved the zoning for a child daycare in the back there too as well.
Oh, really?
Again, that was
So the building itself, I guess from Aldi's?
from, would be where the old Sears was in Kmart is, that's all coming down.
So from the Aldi's down
Yeah, there's
south?
gonna be
it's all-
I believe two structures there, and then a box store in the front.
Very good.
So, which is another good rateable for us.
Sure.
We also now, the Greg Street, Amazon building
Yeah.
is done, that's
Yeah.
another new rateable coming in. And
And how about on Garibaldi? Can you talk to us about Garibaldi?
yeah, a little bit. We hired a redeveloper for Garibaldi. They presented a beautiful plan, which is retail, residential, one rooms above. They really had a nice layout. Now they're gonna go to the boards and everything. And we're in the process of the cleanups right now, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
cleanup there. They did buy the rights where the Greg Street is there, so traffic exit back out towards 17 and not to keep the
Oh, right,
traffic.
so
They did all the traffic studies and
Right.
stuff, so we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we can, get that underway. We also have the redevelopment over at Del Glen Avenue, which is close, is close. There's a family there, there was a death in the family, and there's some squabble going on of litigation or whatever's happening between some owners are there, and we're just at bay waiting for that.
That's on Del Glen out to
That's out Del Glen Avenue.
revitalize that area
From,
there?
yeah, from Arnott Street down to, I'm not sure how far down, I believe before the mobile homes.
Really? Very nice. I mean, so basically my next question is, you kind of answered it, but what do you have, what plans do you have for the borough in the upcoming year? Other than maybe what we just spoke about, is there anything else that you have in the works?
You know what, the redevelopment is our first thing. I want to make sure that our parks are all, built up. If we get this grant, I'd like to start the Kennedy Park Center that I was talking about. We also put in a grant for Jet H Park to redevelop that.
Good old Jet H Park,
Yeah.
that's another.
Yeah, to redevelop that, and continue with some of the projects that we started in the pandemic, where before, we just put the crosswalk in there by the senior complex on Main Street and Avenue C. There's an area there that we started cleaning up. We're gonna put like I wanted to put some type of sitting park there for the seniors when they come out, a couple of benches, and clean that little bit of area up, right along that strip.
Yeah.
So we wanted to clean that
You're
up.
gonna extend that park that's there now, that's?
No, just basically where the fence line comes, just take it
Right.
out, clean that out,
Oh,
so the
okay.
seniors, we can put some, maybe two, make
Right.
it attractive.
Right.
We started, when you come off the ramp of 46 by Main Street in Sydney, if you notice, we talked into the owners, they put a white fence there. I wasn't pleased, the council wasn't pleased with seeing all of the garbage and the debris there. So they put a fence up there, we took that big old dead tree out of there, cleaned it up a little bit. We planted some trees along that way there to make that kind of a nice park. And what we did this year with the tree lighting, we lit the tree blue this
Yes.
year for healthcare workers and in memory of our people that we lost in the COVID. So on the John Street side and that park there, I'm gonna be planting, we wanna plant a tree there, make that be the dedicated every year, kind of a memorial tree for healthcare workers and those we lost in COVID. Maybe put two little park benches there, a little walking path there to dress that up. So I like everything, aesthetic.
Sure.
We're looking to make visual changes and improvements. As you notice, we did in front of Borough Hall, all those sidewalks that were all broken. We took the trees down. You see the beauty of our Borough Hall now. We lit up the rotunda there with different lights.
Yep.
So we did the 9/11 memorial, which was great.
Yes.
We gave honored our two that we lost, Mr. Penn and Mr. Patanti, and gave the key to the city, who was a hero in himself, Mr. Glenn Russo.
Yes.
We gave him the key to the city, honoring him as well. So we're plugging along and all that stuff, trying to
I mean,
get
just
that going.
that I'm thinking, and I know I've heard rumors about this, and maybe you can clarify this, about Route 46, redeveloping Route 46 area by,
It's in need of redevelopment, it's right by the corner of
Yeah.
John Street, that's
Yeah.
all still in
it's-
redevelopment planning and stuff
so
like that.
nothing, there's nothing on that yet.
We don't have anything yet, we have our redeveloper there that's working on it, but there's nothing there. Again, there's some litigations there going on as well with some of the owners there.
Yeah.
You asked me one thing too, where was another thing that kind of stood out that we did. Down at Felician College on Main Street,
Yes.
we finally addressed that flooding issue there, that's been there since we were a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we found out, what the problem was, and we resolved that flooding issue as well, it's been a long time.
Right, so if anybody is driving north on South Main Street, when you got by the area of Felician College, there was always, after a rainstorm, there was always standing water in the roadway. And the mayor looked into it, and what did you actually find? That something with the pipes, correct?
It was basically a retaining tank. Borough manager and I, Brian Palladino, Vinnie Caruso, and he did a great job through this whole pandemic, guiding the ship as well. We went down there, basically checked it out ourselves, called in an engineer, and kind of didn't believe it, and
Yeah, well, behold,
we
that
fixed
was,
it.
right,
It was a county road, so they took care of that problem there.
No, excellent. So,
So we're making some moves.
well, I want to just say thank you again, Mayor Luna, for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time here. Hopefully,
You weren't
everybody.
one of those kids that drove by and splashed everybody.
No,
when you
not
kid
me.
in that puddle, did you?
Not me, no, not me. I just, again, I want to say thank you very much for
Thanks
coming
for
in.
having
We
me.
appreciate you coming in. Hopefully, you guys got some great information out of this interview. You saw a different angle of Mayor Luna, and again, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Lodi, stay safe, stay Lodi strong. God bless you. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.